Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, it should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Kello Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour, my friends. It is great to have you along. And some of you are already commenting on what we were talking about on the air. Brian saying, we were talking about another shutdown in January. I fear we're going to see that because the current federal government funding is only through January 30th. So at the end of January, what are we going to see? And Steve says he believes this as well. So I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming, gang. Always love hearing from you. So what have we got today? Let's start at the president's Truth Social account. And he said this was earlier this morning. He said the Democrats are doing everything in their withering power to push the Epstein hoax again, despite the DOJ releasing 50,000 pages of documents in order to deflect from their own bad policies and losses, especially the shutdown embarrassment, where their party is in total disarray, has no idea what to do. Some weak Republicans have fallen into their clutches because they're soft and foolish. He goes on to say, Epstein was a Democrat, and he is the Democrats' problem, not the Republicans' problem. Ask Bill Clinton, Rita Hoffman, Larry Summers about Epstein. They all know about him. Don't waste your time with Trump. I have a country to run. So that's the president earlier this morning on True Social, again responding to what's going on. There was an interview on CNN yesterday morning. This was on CNN this morning on Thursday. And Representative Wesley Bell, who is a Democrat from Missouri, had stated that he had voted against the bill to end the government shutdown because people in his state were losing SNAP benefits, and so he said, I'm not happy with this resolution. I voted no. As a matter of fact, I voted hell no. To be perfect, he said they had the option. And so the host asked him, well, I know, but 650,000 Missourians were losing SNAP benefits. Would they be happy that you were sticking it out to make a point? And he said, absolutely. That's why I voted no. And 260,000 Missourians could lose their health care or see their health care costs skyrocket. So, yeah, they were losing their SNAP benefits. Oh, yeah, they were happy. They were absolutely happy they're losing their SNAP benefits. This whole thing, excuse me. I mean, I thought it couldn't get any worse, but no, of course, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and the Democrats just don't help themselves. Axios has got a story this morning. Hold on, I will come to that. I'll come to Axios in a moment. Let's start with NPR. National Public Radio's got a piece, NPR saying, and I talked about this on the air this morning, President Trump saying he's going to make America affordable again. It's a pledge he made frequently during the campaign, and now after dropping it from his lexicon for more than 8 months, he's saying it again as polls show that voters rank the economy and cost of living as their top concern, and they blame Trump's policies for making things worse. Senior administration official tells NPR Trump will soon travel around the country with a message that while some things have improved, there is more work to do to help people that are feeling economic strain. This is what I was talking about this morning. It's why I thought the New York Post story was so important, with Trump bringing in, you know, Jamie Dimon and a number of other, you were talking about top CEOs across the country. The president bringing them in on Wednesday, having dinner with them and saying, what can we do? What can we do to make things more affordable? So he apparently is going to take that message out on the road. So Trump said on Wednesday, he said costs are way down. Again, I'm not seeing that. Maybe you are. And I'd appreciate your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you're seeing that. I would say I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that my costs are coming way down. But the president said, my administration and our partners in Congress will continue our work to lower the cost of living, restore public safety, grow our economy, and make America affordable again for all Americans. So the president has been out talking about it. Last week, he said the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is Republicans don't talk about it, and Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads. Well, Mr. President, I'm happy to use my head. If I start seeing my prices coming down, I'm going to be paying, particular attention to that, and I'll start mentioning it. I don't know that that's what I've seen. So then Axios has got a piece. Grocery anxiety nudges aside tariff policy in a win for consumers. So they're saying, now this is left-wing Axios. President Trump's tariff policy, excuse me, always in tension with domestic economic policy, the risk of higher costs versus the promise of lower prices. But as long as inflation remained under control, the tariffs mostly won out. But now with questions of affordability threatening the president politically, would you go that far to say affordability is threatening? This is left-wing Axios. So I don't know that I would go that far. I appreciate your thoughts, though. Share your comments with me. And they're saying some of the tariffs are fair game. The big picture, the Trump administration is feeling a pressure point that the Biden administration knew well. Inflation rates don't matter, price levels do. I would agree. You can't easily convince people your policies are working when they're paying 15% more for a hamburger or 20% more for a cup of coffee. So, and then they use the court. The president may say he doesn't want to hear about affordability. Clearly, the news of this week that's a comment from last week. That was the president a week ago. Clearly, the news this week, the president is not saying that. He is out there and he is talking about affordability. There have been stories at the New York Post and elsewhere showing that that's the case. There were a couple of other stories that I'm going to share with you here this morning. Try to see if you've got any comments in regard to affordability. Brian's saying, I like to use the bag of chips method. A bag of chips costs more than a quarter of the average wages per hour. Things are not good. I never heard of the bag of chips method. Steve said, I guess I don't notice much when it comes to prices. See, this happens to me sometimes too, that I just wind up looking at my total bill versus, each item and what I'm buying. So I look at the total bill and I go, man, I didn't get that much, in excess. $60 really didn't get that much, but Steve's saying things are too high for sure. So the issue of affordability, I think it's a big one, because the economy is one of the things that Americans typically, when they go to vote, one of the top issues on their mind is the economy. It's one of the primary issues that voters care about. Why? Because it impacts them. If the economy is bad and I can't, pay, I can't buy groceries, it costs me too much to be able to afford groceries for my family, that becomes an issue for voters. It hits voters right where they live. So the economy is always at the top of voters' minds because they're the ones who are seeing the impact, I think, the greatest as we talk about the economy. So we'll see where it goes. I think the president is taking some good steps. I think he is recognizing, okay, bringing in other minds, CEOs. What can we do to address the issue of affordability? Yesterday, I had mentioned that Scott Bessent said, okay, we're going to lower the tariffs on coffee. We're going to lower the tariffs on bananas so that we can bring the cost down on those items because those have skyrocketed. So they're taking steps then to try to bring those prices down. I think it's a lot more than the Democrats ever did when they were in office. Anytime we would complain about affordability, it was, so sad, too bad. They didn't really care. And you see Trump, and this is, I think, what's so amazing between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. Trump is out there and saying, okay, what can we do to address affordability? And who's he asking? He's asking some of the brightest minds in the country. What can we do to address this issue of affordability for Americans? You never saw the Biden administration take that kind of a stance. And I think that's one of the primary differences between Republicans and Democrats is this is a Biden administration. When did you ever get the feeling they give a crap about you, that they cared about you? They were going to push their policies. Joe Biden was supposedly a centrist. We were always moderate. He's a moderate Democrat. And I watched that. I've never seen anything about Joe Biden. He was a chameleon. He would say whatever he needed to in any situation. I still remain flabbergasted that he wound up as president. I just never saw anything in Joe Biden that I would vote for or that I would support as president. And during his presidency, that got even worse. I think his age clearly was an issue. And you had his left-wing staff who literally now we're running the country. And the kinds of policies that they didn't give a crap what the effect was going to be on Main Street. Whereas Donald Trump, I think, really does. And that to me is one of the most significant differences between Republicans and Democrats, and you see it right there. And at least in my mind, it is very, very clear. There were a couple of other stories that I wanted. This is a mom in Tennessee who's allowing her teenage daughter to change her birth name. Her name at birth was Dixie. And so kids at her school mocked her for it, accused her of racism and supporting the Civil War era South. And so her mother on TikTok is saying, well, she gets made fun of it. And so her daughter asked her if she could scrap the name. And I said, yes, no questions asked. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me. Okay, the mother wants to let her, if she wants to change her name, fine. Who didn't get harassed when they were young? Did you get harassed? Did you get teased? Did you get hassled? Your name? Try a name like Belfrage. I mean, carry that name for a while and see how that works out for you. Bats in my Belfrage and all of that crap when I was a kid. Never once considered changing my name. Not once. I just think, man, that is part of life. And I understand as a parent, you don't want to see your kids hurt because I raised 3 kids. I've got 2 daughters and a son. And now I have 3 grandchildren whom I just really love watching them grow up. It's terrific. But, one of the things is life is tough as a kid. It can be. Life can be tough as a kid. And you know what? Kids mock other kids and they tease other kids. I'm not defending it. But man, you live through it. I mean, so Dixie harassing her because of the name. I got hassled for a number of reasons that had nothing to do with the Deep South. You just pick any reason. Kids were hassling you about things, and I have very vivid memories. I've talked about it before, but being on the bus in junior high school, and you're getting hassled by kids, and you're being harassed, and there were a couple of guys, man. They were tough on me, and they singled me out, and man, I'm a pushover. I really am. I mean, I talk tough with you, but I really am a pushover. And when I was a kid, not so much today, but I was when I was young. And I'm not a fighter. And one of them was several years older than me. And in junior high school, when you're several years older, you're much bigger. And so, I was very intimidated. And I got through it. I never treated other people that way. And I still try not to treat people disrespectfully or bully them, or it's really unfortunate, but those kinds of things, isn't that just life? Don't we all go through that? I'm sure you have your stories of things you went through when you were young. You were singled out. I'm going to mute that phone. It happens to me every day. My apologies. I have people in the building who have, there we go. Forgive me, I totally lost my train of thought. Talking about bullying. I think we've all gone through it. We all go through bullying. And I'm not defending it. I just think that's a part of life. It's unfortunate. And I think when you go through that as a kid, especially, it helps build your resolve later on in life. I feel like I am stronger as a result of the tribulations that I may have had when I was a young person. And everybody right now, they want the short path. They want the easy path. They want to get there quickly. They don't, especially when it comes to suffering. And sometimes you get through the suffering. I'm not wishing suffering on anybody, but sometimes you get through the suffering and you come out on the other side and you're much stronger as a result of it. I think it's an entirely different kind of way to look at it. But when it's your children, admittedly, I will say, it's tough. When your children are suffering as a parent, you want to eliminate that suffering. You really do, I think. And you got to remind yourself that hopefully, that the adversity is going to build strength. And I think that's what life does for many of us. All right, my friends, you have made it to the end of the video. So you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here each and every day. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. If you're not a subscriber on YouTube, please consider becoming one. picking up more each day. Very much appreciate it. So I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. You take care. I'll see you again on Monday. Until then, I'm underground and gone.